Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Sunchild Tarot. Now this is a reading for the full moon in a Sagittarius / lunar eclipse for June the 5th, and this is a general reading that's looking at the interplay of energies that are around each sign. The way that they are embodied in my reading is the top row is seen as the archontic masks of the gods, those things that are trying to keep us separated from our divine self, and the bottom row of my cards are the actual gods, those beings who are trying to lift us up and reconnect us with the divine. Now, being 15 degrees of Sagittarius, so it's a midpoint degree, so right smack bang in the middle of the sign of the guru. So I think there might be quite a lot of, there's been an emphasis on a lot of the astrological movements recently, aspects I should say, about seeking out truth and personal truth. And the full moon in Sagittarius probably leaves us a little bit of a trap that we can be very, very assured in our truth. Now, I'm not going to discuss the astrology too much because I've already posted on the Facebook group, link down below in the description, at least 2 videos about this full moon. The first 2, Razalila Healing and Ksenia Moore. I recommend watching both of those. They can explain aspects of this full moon far better than I can. Now, this is a bulk introduction. There'll be a timestamp down below as well, so that you can watch more than one. And I recommend that you watch more than one. You want to watch your sun sign, obviously, but your rising sign as well, especially if you know what house Sagittarius is in from your rising sign. And your moon doesn't go amiss, certainly not with a full moon reading. So 15 degrees Sagittarius. Now this full moon is a penumbral lunar eclipse, which means the Earth's shadow just slightly touches the edge of it, but it is nevertheless an eclipse, and therefore will have an effect at least a week beforehand and a week after is what I've heard to start off with, because it does get superseded by an upcoming solar eclipse. But eclipses effects can be a long time, and full moon eclipses or lunar eclipses are very much about bringing things to an ending and completion of things, but they are also abrupt changes. You can't necessarily always know how an eclipse is going to manifest apart from change. Change is definite. Now this eclipse forms a T-square to Mars and Neptune in Pisces. Mars is confused in Pisces at the moment. It's coming up to its conjunction with Neptune, where it gets a chance of being doused by the massive ocean that Neptune is. But it also, to me, represents action regarding your dreams and action regarding spirituality if you don't allow your Martian flame to be doused. Now, the T-square to Mars, and less so to Neptune, but still including, basically it's a very challenging aspect, but it does give a potential for success. Now, what I'm even more interested in is the fact that this is less than 1 degree off from the galactic center. So the day after these videos are released, I should be releasing my lunar galactic downloads, where we've got the galactic center download energy coming through the moon, but under the power of a full moon. This lines up immediately with the Great Attractor, which is a force out in the universe which is pulling multiple galaxies after it, including our own. It's been observed, as in seen, that the galaxies are being pulled, but it's not been observed in and of itself, so it's indicating that it's very, very, very far away. But to be demonstrating an effect over multiple galaxies indicates, well, quite a lot of power. And of course, every time that we conjunct with the galactic center, the Great Attractor is right behind it. So it may be that just as the moon translates the galactic center energy, the galactic center may well be translating the energy of this Great Attractor, whatever it is. Now I'm going to read, I think I'm going to read the inside degree. What really got me was the Omega symbol, and I found a document with all the Omega symbols on them. I have yet to find out what the Omega symbols are, but it is a magician's wand sprouting golden leaves. What we set into motion now, as long as it is an attempt to exert our power, exhibit our power in a positive way, I would add, then that will bring some harvest to us. It may not bring the full harvest. You know, this wand might be sprouting golden leaves from it, but you wanted to grow an entire forest. So, you know, it's depends what scale you're wanting to work on. But if you wanted golden leaves, then you've got them. Now, I'm going to read out from Inside Degrees Sagittarius 16, because 15 degrees something is the 16th degree of Sagittarius. So it's a man sharing sheep, practical fortitude and resiliency to keep finding a way to do it, to keep discovering how to get through the deepest quandaries, the greatest karmic traps. Ingenious and resourceful, paying attention to the cues, going to get it right. You're involved within a path which requires discipleship or apprenticeship, learning the ropes, building up fresh capacity in this lifetime to scale the heights. But you remain preoccupied and absorbed within honest tasks. A pervasive conviction grows and forms of how it really is. You're willing to take every step to reach a far goal and attentive to what is really there. A throwback to the old ways of a rural past, oddly comfortable in adopting forms and moving through phases and taking on the worlds. The journeyman knows the ways of the journey and gathers Earth's wisdom in small bundles, knowing how to be there when it counts. So that packs a lot into it, especially considering the state of the world, the state of the economy, the state of America at the moment. And there was one other degree, the Azoth symbol, which was thoughts being exchanged by many people over great distances. So there is that wonderful sense of community, which is reinforced by that inside degree that I read out to start off with. Now, housekeeping, like I said, there's the Facebook group down below, page, sorry. But the important thing is that page has an inbox. So if you're wanting to approach me for a personal reading, feel free. That's one of the ways you can do it. There's also a Twitter down below. I would very much like if you would comment and give me feedback on the reading. I've been doing these Full Moon Gods at Play readings for a while, so I'll be interested to see what you actually think of them and what you think of the spread and the how it's all put together. And also I try and respond to all of the comments. Thank you very much for everyone who's commented so far, and everybody who has subscribed. I'm a young channel, I'm 8 months old, I think. I'm 8 months old now. And every subscriber helps. Your next reading obviously will be that Lunar Galactic download. This month I am still to do my starseed guidance. I've done, new thing, I've done Chinese zodiac readings this month as well. So I've done the 12 Western signs and the 12 Chinese signs, so that's well worth a look. Mars conjunct Neptune later on in the month, and the second Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, this time with Jupiter in retrograde. I'm not even sure if Pluto might be in retrograde. Yeah, it is. So both of those in retrograde this time, so that's towards the end of the month. I think that's everything. Now, as I said, you can ask a question before this reading. It's not really a spread that is designed to provide you with an answer like some of my other spreads are, but you can ask a question if you want. Take a moment, think about all the questions around you. You've heard me say this before. Pick one of them, focus on it. Be aware of all of them, because the cards will answer what they want. Right, that's it. So let me bring up the cards. Okay, Aries, so there's quite you notice I've got an extra deck of cards here this month. There's an interesting selection of beings turned up to support you as well as to lock you down. The archontic god forces that are trying to separate you from your higher purpose. We have Eos with new beginnings, which rather indicates to me that since full moons can be very much about the completion of a thing, starting something new right now, or the promise of starting something new right now, seems a bit more like a distraction, like somebody trying to pull you off your path. Well, archontic god forces will be, but this, because we have this paired with Athena with strategy, so there is it's as if somebody is trying to manipulate you one way or another, because they are not accepting the facts and they are not accepting the way things are. We have Nuba with denial and Shillinagig with desperation. But Shillinagig here is on both sides. She's playing both sides, because on the bottom she is offering you gateways to a whole new world. And so what I feel like is that any new beginnings right now, especially if they are offered to you by somebody else, I'm not saying say no, I'm saying put them on hold. There is no reason why they can't have a yes or a no next week or the week after. Let's have a look what the next eclipse brings us, you know, before you dive straight in, because it just seems like someone is trying to bring something into being that just simply does not exist, or they're trying to keep a status quo maybe that does not exist, because we have Hera with relating, and Hera is very much the person who is loyal, who you know, is goddess of marriage, and we all know of her jealousy, but she is the most steadfast, loyal person. She expects that loyalty back. But here as an archontic god force, it's almost like there are enforced rules of how you are supposed to communicate and relate to others. And with trouble being on the horizon, you know, we have Aries with war here. Again, one of the archontic god forces. Trouble being on the horizon, those rules may be under strain, and someone was in denial that they are no longer applicable, and they are using every strategy in the book to get you to conform to what they want. Now, we also have the Gorgon here, which is a card that says, now let me just, it's not a new deck, but I've not used this deck a lot. It promises to take away all your hopes and dreams, which I think by agreeing to this new beginning, that could easily happen. But it also says an enemy that must be kept at a distance, safety in non-confrontation. So safety in non-confrontation, but as a force that is working against you, there is something that maybe you do need to confront, and you do need to conquer the fear of it. This is what the Typhoeus card is saying, that however big the fear is, it can be conquered. Zeus managed to imprison creature Typhoeus eventually, so all fears can be conquered. But I will say the odd bit of fear that will make you just think twice before you jump into something won't go amiss. If you are operating to your highest intentions, we have Prometheus here with altruism on your side, then we have Demeter twice, fecundity, fertility, abundance. She is the Empress when all said and done. But there's also a sense of maternal care with this as well, that seasonal maternal care is what I just got put into my head. So the time is right when you have this maternal support, or you may be the person giving this maternal support, don't get me wrong. But the maternal support and abundance, if you are acting with altruism, seems to be favoured really well. Ursula, with prosperity here, asks you to question what you have, what it's cost other people for you to have it, and is it worth it, and do you look after it properly? Which is interesting, right against the denial and desperation of Nuba and Shilinagig. Because do you look after it properly? Do you realise what you have at the moment? Are you thoroughly altruistic? You know, the gateways are coming for you. But what is interesting here is that you should have this confrontation for a number of reasons. The angel energy covering this reading, we have the angel of being. My soul rests in the truth that my being is eternal. So whatever happens, you will still be standing. However much there is the fear, you will still be standing. And if you aim to conquer it, you will indeed conquer it. Don't go into the fear and refuse to have the confrontation, because that threat of everything's going to come tumbling down if you confront this, that's a strategy of the enemy, let's call it that way. You know, the archontic god forces that is against you, or whoever you are perceiving as the enemy in this situation. I'm not one of these readers that turns around and says you must not perceive anybody as the enemy. Some people have destinies that they have to work out interplaying against one another. But this really does seem to be a throwing off everything that controls you and standing in your own power reading. It's giving you all the tools. As long as you are obeying the rules of the altruism, you are being told that you will be provided for and looked after, but as long as you are looking after yourself primarily. Now, out of the Oracle of Heaven and Hell, we have Rael with liberation, and Manakel, you'll notice in my shuffle video, it really wanted to come out, so I grabbed it, because all I saw was the MA, and it was like, it was so obvious that I had to take it out of the deck. Which is knowledge of good and evil. So with war standing against you, with you standing against a very strategic enemy, whatever that might be, whatever that might mean. This could be in the office. This could be within the home. This could be on the streets of America. However you want to look at it, or however it works for you. You know, it's take it as it resonates for you. Stick with doing the right thing and have the confrontation, knowing very well what the good and evil in the situation is. You will find liberation. But where the traps are is fanaticism and hypocrisy from Astaroth here on card number 29, which again reinforces the message of Ursula. How much have other people paid for what you have, and how well do you look after what you have? You know, it's no point going into this confrontation on hypocritical grounds, because they are strategic. They know very well how you relate to everything else that is around you, and they will shoot you down. And then physical and moral imperfections with simiges. Well, simmies on here, but I know it as simiges. It's the moral imperfections that just re-echoes that sense of the hypocrisy that is a trap. So yes, be altruistic. Absolutely be altruistic. But do it on a basis where you're being honest. And that way you won't fall into the trap. which is, I mean, the way I envision these readings, as I've said, is the forces trying to suppress you and the forces trying to uplift you. So it sounds very dramatic, the trap being whatever the trap is, but it is a symbol of this reading. You have to see how it resonates with your own life. But basically, Aries, be good and be very, very good. Cheers. Sorry, Aries, I forgot to add the tarot cards onto your reading, but I think that was so succinct that there's no real need. Next month, eh? See you later, and remember, be very, very good.